Hello, hello. Can everybody hear me? I've never done this before. Can I get some yeses, yeses, yes? Can you hear me? Yes, maybe, no, I don't know. Can everybody hear me? Yes, 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 loud and clear. Ah, Alicia! All right, so I don't want to take up too much of everybody's time. I want to speak a little bit. I'm gonna try to keep it around 15 minutes. What I would like to talk about is not the method, but a method of finding happiness and what happiness is, what happiness isn't. I've got some notes here. I want to really kind of stay on track and get specific with a lot of things because this is something that's kind of close to me. This material hits close to home, and I hope that it connects and hits close to home with you guys as well. Um, I want to talk about kind of the fundamentals of life and what we feel is what happiness or what we feel happiness is, and everybody wants to know what happiness is, and kind of what that has to start with is we have to look at our own book. What I mean by our book is if we are a culmination of all of the events in our life, meaning if our opinions and the way we think is a conclusion of everything that's happened in the past, then our book is the story that we've written of our own lives subconsciously. It's not something that we consciously are doing, but everybody does it. I'll give you an example. Let me know if you guys have heard this story, right? The book of life of you go to school, you go to high school, you make good grades, you graduate, you go to college, you make good grades in college, you graduate from college, and then you get a job immediately. You get a job immediately in the field that you graduated college in. You fall in love, you get married, you have 1.5 kids and a white picket fence. Does that sound like a common theme to a lot of people? Can I get yes? Anyone? Have you guys heard that story before? Have you thought that story before? That's something that life is supposed to be. Those are the events that are supposed to happen. Um, Another one would be that you work hard in school, you graduate, you go straight to college, you kick ass in college, you immediately graduate, with honors. You start working for a big corporation in a big city. You move to that big city. You immediately get comfortable in that big city. You make all kinds of friends, and you move up the ladder of success, and you become chairman or CEO, and everybody respects you, and they respect all of the sacrifices that you've made to get to where you've got for the rest of your life, and you live happily ever after. That's another story that I've heard or I've thought of, and a lot of these stories are as old as kind of life itself. I know personally, I've said this to people, and I'm curious to see if you people, if you guys have said this before, that whatever book was handed out, whatever life manual was handed out when we were born, I didn't get it, right? I've told Alicia, I'm sure I've probably told you this, whatever book they gave, I didn't get it. I know that uh, I've told therapists, I've told psychiatrists and psychologists, struggling with depression, I'm like, whatever everybody else got, I didn't get. Um, and a personal example of that would be my brother. My brother, um, whatever that book was, he got. And he went to high school, graduated high school, went straight to college, graduated college, I graduated in accounting, immediately got a job in accounting, and took a CPA exam, passed the CPA exam, then got a job as a CPA, bastard, and then he got married, has two kids, which my two beautiful nieces, and son of a bitch even has a white picket fence, right? So this book that was handed out, my brother got, and I didn't get. But did I? Did I not get this book um, that was written? And the answer is yes. That the minute we think life isn't the way it should be, that's because that's the book that we're going by, the book that we read. And you're going to hear that keyword should. Um, but with all of these stories that that we hear, one thing remains consistent, and that is life tells us that we have to achieve these enormous amounts of things, that we have to be so successful in everything, and it could be anything: business, finances, personal relationships. We live in a culture where we're taught that we have to be special, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with being special. I think we all need to be special and unique in a certain way. That's not the problem. The problem is that special and unique is defined in so many different ways. An example would be school teachers, right? School teachers are special and unique. However, they are extremely underrated. They're underpaid, which means that they're not respected. Yet they groom and teach the youth, of the world, and they're the least paid servants that are out there. You got another example, police, first responders. These people are out there, literally, they're our first defense, saving lives, a lot of times with their own lives. And again, they're not respected, taken advantage of, taken for granted, and their pay reflects that. And our society is okay with defining special as less than. So that's the issue with what society feels is special or unique, is that what is that? There's no real definition because everybody's definition is different. So what is this happy thing that we're trying to get to? And what I want us to do is just kind of take a little quick test. And this is just something that you guys just think about right now. And I want you to be brutally honest. And I want you to think about an area in your life that you're okay with, that you're happy with, or that you're satisfied with. Just one thing. You don't have to love your life, enjoy your life, but there's one thing in your life that you're proud of. And I'll give you a hint. It's usually something that comes easy for you. The things that come easy are typically the things that we're good at. So think of something, just one thing that it is that you feel good at and you're satisfied with, that you don't really have to try hard for. And examples of that would be that, let's say that you may not have a lot of money, but you're close to your family and your kids. You're super proud of your kids love you and you love them. That's an area that you're good at. Maybe you're not excited about your job, you're not so happy with that, but you love your significant other, your husband, your wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, that one person that you feel completely connected to, that you can be 100% yourself with. Um, and maybe you don't have that significant other, maybe you don't have a huge scope of friends, but your business life is thriving, you're making good money, it's not something that's difficult for you, but you're content with the money that you're making. Maybe it's your physical appearance, maybe it's your body. You've sacrificed a lot, you've worked hard for it, and you're proud of the physique that you've built. And I'm not saying that everything else is, peaches and cream in life, but you have that thing, that one thing that you're proud of. And why is it? Why is it that we're proud of that one thing in our life? Why are we satisfied with that thing? Why are we happy with that thing? And it's because it lines up, it matches with our book, with our story, all of our past experiences that we've built up to match our conditions of life. It's the blueprint that we've made, and it matches that blueprint. So we are happy, we're content. If it's your kids, you say, well, I'm a good person, I'm a good father, I'm supposed to be close with my kids. This is how it's supposed to be. If it's your relationship with your significant other, you say, well, you're supposed to be with somebody that you can be 100% yourself with. Duh, like, why would I not be? If it's your business and your financial status that you're happy with, it's because you're going to say, well, you're supposed to be successful in life. You're supposed to be able to pay bills. I like to buy shit, and I buy shit. And all of these things is because we feel that it's the way it should be, because it lines up with that blueprint. So let's look at the opposite now. Okay, let's look at what, if we know happiness is what matches up with our a blueprint, our storybook of life, then what's the opposite? So when things don't match up with that book, bye Alicia. When things don't match up, that's what causes the stress, that's what causes the anxiety, that's what causes physical and mental and pain, and in the end, that's what causes the unhappiness. So now let's look at what area of your life that you're not happy with, or what area of your life that you would like to improve on. And you have to look at these things, otherwise there's no growth. So you have to look at, basically look at yourself. And so if it's got to be, if you're not close to your kids, then it's something that you would say, well, I'm doing everything to be happy and doing everything to make my kids happy, and yet they're not happy. I'm a failure as a parent. Again, it's not lining up with that book. If it's your finances and your insecurity with money, it's because you say, well, I'm supposed to have this big house and fancy car, I don't have it, and I suck at life. And how many of us have said that? How many of us have said, I suck at life? I've told people that all the time. I've told therapists that, doctors that, like, I don't know what it is, I just suck at life. And it's because my mental blueprint, my storybook of life is not matching up with my expectations. And so obviously that's where the unhappiness comes in. So if if our happiness is things lining up with our story, our mental story, and unhappiness is things obviously not with our mental story. then, and that's what causes the pain and anxiety. Obviously, that's where unhappiness comes from. But the true unhappiness and the true depression comes from our belief that we can't change that story. That's where the deep, deep type of depression comes from. And that's the exact same reason why millions of people are on antidepressants, and yet they're still depressed because they feel that they can't change their forward projection because of the past um, experiences in the book that they've written. So I can tell you, for me, nowhere in my book did it say that I was going to lose a leg, right? Like you know, unconsciously had this mental projection laid out, and nowhere did it say I was going to lose a leg. So what happens when things don't run the way they should be? You have three options. Number one is pretty much what we all do, and that's blame. Blame, blame, blame. Blame me, blame you, blame God, blame life, um, blame whatever. Uh, that's usually the first step, is blaming everybody or everything. Step two is the obvious. You change your life, make a drastic life change and turn things around. And number three is you change your story, change the story to match your life. Obviously, number one doesn't work. Blaming doesn't work. It may work for a little while, and then it stops working. Um, if you do number three, if you change your story, you will immediately be happy. If you change your life and your story, your life will dramatically change overnight. And so the whole premise of this, you know, live feed is how do we do that? And the answer to that question is you add purpose and intention into your life. You act with intention. You do things on purpose. You're fully aware of every choice in life that you make on a daily basis. You um, you also are aware of the choices that you don't make, because don't bullshit yourselves. Not making a choice is making a choice. And the minute um, you start tapping in to this energy of life, the universe recognizes intention and direction and energy and opens up for you. That's just what I believe. And it's not necessarily flipping your life upside down, quitting your job, changing everything. I mean, it could be, but really all it is making purposeful and intentional actions and decisions on a daily basis. Every action and every decision that you make, one day at a time. And the beauty is you only have to write one page at a time. Um, and the minute you start doing that, your entire life changes. It's about just being consistent with those life choices. Um, and so, you know, it's just amazing that, you know, once you hold yourself accountable and start being consciously aware and being purposely driven, which I always say, what wakes you up in the morning, a purpose or an alarm clock? The minute you have a purpose that starts driving you and waking you up, your entire life changes. Your life will start happening for you instead of to you. So with that, I'm going to kind of wrap things up here. I want to close with a daily sort of awareness practice. I want to give everybody a practice, something that to do on a daily basis. This is something that is going to set the tone for the day. And what I mean by tone is raise your energy for the day. And energy is a real thing. If everyone can relate to somebody that comes around them and they're very positive and they're smiling and they're upbeat, and As soon as that person leaves, you feel uplifted, you feel different, you feel changed. That's energy. The opposite is true, where you have someone super negative that comes in the room, and Debbie Downer, and they're always saying they hate life or whatever. And as soon as they leave, what do you say? What does everybody say when the negative person leaves? God, I'm so glad they left. It feels like they sucked the life out of the room. And that's because they did. They sucked the energy from you. And just to take it a step deeper, for anyone, just to make you feel it a little bit more, if anyone has ever been in love, I'm going to assume you have. If anyone has ever had their heart broken, I'm assuming you have. Um, Feel this, where you're dating somebody, you guys are in love, whatever. All of a sudden, one day, this person says, "Look, I can't do this anymore. Um, I have to take care of myself. I'm not in this relationship. I can't do it." You immediately go into this depression. Either you eat too much or you don't eat. Personally, I'm a stress not eater, but some people stress eat, and you feel that the normal sustenance, normal food that you take for energy doesn't work. You're depressed. You don't get out of bed. You maybe even call into work sick. And then all of a sudden, one day, this person texts you and they say, "Hey, look, I was a fool. I made a mistake. You're the one for me. Can you come right now? I want to talk." Well, what the hell do you do? Immediately, you have a complete mental, physical, and psychic change, burst of energy, and you all of a sudden, day or night, up and leave to go talk to this person. That's an energy effect that is instantaneous, which shows you that you can change the outcome or the out by simply shifting your energy. And so, the awareness practice that I would like to just give to everybody is three things when you get up in the morning. One, when you wake up, and it takes 5 minutes, and if you don't have 5 minutes to try to better yourself, then I can't help you. Sorry. Um, but first thing I want you to do is get up and either meditate or pray or just think of something that you're grateful for. Again, going back to the original part of our discussion where you're thinking of the one thing that you're thankful or grateful for. I just want you to think of at least one thing, if not everything you can possibly think of that morning before you get out of bed, what you are grateful for. The second thing I want you to do is whatever higher power you believe in, I want you to tell that higher power the things that you are grateful for, and I want you to thank that higher power, that you're grateful for those things. The third thing I want you to do is to decide on one thing that you're going to do for the day to better yourself. And it could be anything. It could be, I'm going to listen to a podcast. I'm going to watch a motivational video, spend some time with my kids. I'm going to go exercise. I'm going to commit 30 minutes to reading a book. Whatever it is, I want you to decide one thing every morning that you're going to do to better yourself, and write it down if you have to. And I know people say, I've heard writing shit down. Everyone's been saying write things down your entire life. Vision board, write it down, surround yourself with it. But remember this: in 1979, the graduating class of Harvard, they interviewed and they asked the entire graduating class in 1979 if they had a written plan of action after they graduated for life. 3% of that graduating class said that they had a written plan of action. 97% said they did not. They were relying solely on their education and their laurels. 25 years later, in 2004, they tracked down these same graduates, And the 3% that had their written goals had achieved or exceeded their written plan of success. And they were so successful that they financially and successfully outbeat the other 97% combined solely by writing it down. So those are facts, people. With that, I'm going to go ahead and close. I want to thank everybody for joining me and listening to my opinion on one method of how to be happy, and that is just rewriting your own book, making intentional and purposeful decisions on a daily basis, consistently every single day, and the knowledge and knowing that you can rewrite your book. And the great news is that you only have to write one page at a time. So this is Iron Man checking out. I hope everybody has a great night. Bye.